Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Monday Night Racing Season 6 playoffs. My name is Eric Eastep. I am your host. To begin tonight, in just a few moments, we'll be bringing in the broadcast booth. We'll also talk to one of your playoff drivers tonight. Watkins Glen, the final race of the round of 12, an elimination race. That means 4 of your currently 12 playoff drivers will be going home. If you missed it in week 1, 2 weeks ago, I guess, out of Richmond, it was Chase Cabry getting the win to lock his way into the second round. And then last Monday night at Daytona, in dramatic fashion, it was Presley Sora, the season 5 champion, squeaking ahead of the pack to get the win. So it's going to be a great show tonight. We've got tons of real world NASCAR racing stars, drivers. We've got lots of great sim racers and folks from all around the motorsports industry competing in Monday Night Racing. So I cannot wait for you guys to take a look at the field we've got tonight. And it's road course racing, so it's going to look a bit different. Really excited to see so many familiar faces in the chat once again this week, tuning in for the third Monday night in a row. I mentioned the playoffs. Before we bring in one of our playoff drivers, I want to look at the playoff grid, get everyone up to speed just a little bit here. I mentioned Chase Cabry and Presley Sora, both locked in with victories over the past 2 weeks. Adam Cabot, who we'll talk to in just a moment, currently plus 19 over Garrett Smithley, if my math is correct. Matt Stallnick, Joey Padgett, Ryan Vargas, Corey Heim, and Leighton Sabile currently hold the 8 transfer spots, but I just mentioned him. Garrett Smithley, hungry to transfer over. Colin Fern, who I'm not sure if he's on the entry list for tonight, unfortunately, is also below the cut line. Then David Shieldhouse, I know a fan favorite over here on YouTube and Twitch, and Nick Olson also looking to make something big happen tonight at Watkins Glen. They may need to win if they're going to transfer into that second round. It's going to be a great show tonight. In just a few moments, we'll have qualifying, and then we'll have, then of course, the race will go green. You saw some practice clips there during the kind of warm-up screen of drivers and cars slipping and sliding around Watkins Glen. Did I mention that they're running the boot? Not just the NASCAR layout. No, a couple extra turns, a little extra excitement tonight at Watkins Glen. Before we bring in the booth, though, let's talk to one of our playoff drivers. Mentioned him just a moment ago. Adam Cabot currently sits 19 points above the cut line. Adam, it's Eric Eastep here in the pre-race show. Do you got a copy?
I got you, Eric.
Awesome. Great to have you on the show. Just mentioned it. You're above the cut line right now, have a better cushion than most. So how do you approach tonight's race at Watkins Glen?
Honestly, I'm just going to be taking it easy tonight. Hopefully not using up too much of that 19-point cushion that I built up, but haven't really prepared for this week like I would most. I was a little preoccupied with doing my first iRacing Daytona 24, which was certainly an experience to say the least, but after driving that BMW, whatever that car was, that hybrid car, this thing is actually pretty tame in comparison. So looking to really just keep all 4 tires on the track and maybe come on with a solid top 10, top 15. Like I said, I'd be surprised if we had race winning speed tonight. I like to do well at the road courses, but really tonight I just need to have a solid night, nothing too flashy, and hopefully that's what we can achieve here today.
Cool, calm, and consistent. That's what'll get the job done tonight, given your current point situation. For fans who may be tuning into Monday Night Racing for the first time or who are relatively new to the series, how do you feel your road course racing stacks up against the rest of the competition? It sounds like you've gotten some laps, plenty of road course racing laps at Daytona over the last few nights, but maybe not Watkins Glen. What can you let the fans in a little bit?
Yeah, so the last road course we ran in the series was up in Canada, Canadian Tire, with the next gen car, and that was pretty much the road course race of my life. Almost had that thing won, was so close, and Sage Karam ended up getting me at the end, and he's super talented, and I'm sure he'll be in contention to win tonight. So my road course skills definitely been really developing them the last year or two, I'd say, and I'm really happy with where I'm, the progress that I've made, and I feel like if I put a lot of time and effort into road course race, I think last time, like I said, last time at Canadian Tire, I showed that I can have the speed to contend for a win, but didn't really have the time to put in the prep for this week. So like I said, just looking for something consistent, but who knows if stuff gets crazy. I mean, that bus stop is pretty darn sketchy going over those curbs. So anything can happen in these races. I've definitely learned that over the last couple of seasons. So like I said, just looking for a safe, clean race and hopefully just have the points at the end to advance to the next round.
Sounds good to me. Well, if anyone in this field knows what it takes to go deep in the Monday Night Racing playoffs, it's you. Adam Cabot, thanks for joining the pre-race show, and good luck tonight at Watkins Glen, man.
Yep. Thanks, Eric.
Awesome stuff. So that's one of your playoff drivers coming in with a nice cushion, but you heard him. He's not going to try and put too much on the line. Doesn't want to risk those 19 points if he can avoid it. I just got a note actually from our broadcast team that there are no fast repairs tonight. So I believe this is the third week in a row where these drivers will not have that crutch of a free reset. They're going to have to take care of not just their tires, not just their equipment, but the body parts. I guess I don't actually know what they put. Is it sheet metal on these cars? I don't exactly know. But should be a great show. With that being said, before qualifying kicks off here in the next few moments, I think we should bring in the three men who will be calling the action tonight. As always, we've got Blake McCandless, Jacob Hitz, and Kenneth Bueno. Blake, it's great to see you. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you, Eric, and happy Monday to everybody out there taking in this third race of the Season 6 playoffs in the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. I'm Blake McCandless, that's Kenneth Bueno, and Jacob Hitz. And guys, we are here for something that is much different than what we've become accustomed to in the playoffs. A road course car, something that's entirely out of these drivers' comfort zones, and it couldn't come at a more pivotal point in the playoffs, Kenneth.
It's just adding on to the list of the wild card races that we've had in this round of 12 today. We had Daytona last week with the ARCA cars. That was a show that we probably weren't expecting to have, at least in terms of who was going to be on top. It was very unpredictable. Tonight is going to be the same. It's been a while since we've seen this Porsche 911 RSR and M&R competition overall, even in the playoffs, by a fact. So it's going to be a very big question to see how drivers are going to handle that over the course of the run, if they're very comfortable with these cars, and ultimately what they're willing to do if they're those drivers below the cut line or if those above to protect or to try and get over that run to the advance into the round of 8. It's going to be unbelievable to see how they do it, but that makes it all the more fun when we have this type of track and this type of car.
Well, and it really does. And speaking of fun, Jacob, I know the last time we were out thinking about Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the next-gen cars, the last time that we were at a road course in this series, same kind of format that we have tonight. It's a timed race. We're not going for laps. We're just going for 80 minutes or an hour 20, whatever you want to call it. The biggest theme of that night, Jacob, was mistakes. And I think that's one thing these drivers really have to be thinking about, that you can have all the speed you want, but you have to be solid and go out and execute for 80 minutes. It's a decent challenge for these drivers.
It would help if you could hear me, huh? There we go.
Oh, yeah, it kind of does.
Anyway, it is what it is. We only got a couple of weeks left. Wheels already falling off the bus. Anyway, the difference between here at Watkins Glen and CTMP a couple of weeks ago, CTMP has no runoff, at least on iRacing. You make a mistake, you're in the grass, and you're probably going to go into the wall. We saw that a lot in turn 2. Here at Watkins Glen, it's updated, it's rescanned within the last couple of years, so it has all of this runoff area. The amount of grass on this racetrack compared to 10 or 12 years ago, not nearly the same. So there's a little more give with this racetrack. Turn 1, you have a lot of room. If you miss the corner a little bit, a lot of room before you get to that wall. Same deal in turn, what is 10 for us tonight since we're using the boot. The dogleg, or not the dogleg, but the bus stop can be a little hairy at times. That might be your biggest trouble spot. But when we were here in Watkins Glen in Season 5 in the Pro 2 trucks, things really were pretty calm, all things considered. We had a competition caution in that race like we will tonight, and it wasn't quite about attrition like it was at CTMP. There, it was just picking the right strategy and being in the right place at the right time, and we saw that with James Bickford and Shane Van Gisbergen with a great finish here in Season 5. We'll see what comes of it tonight.
We will, and let's go ahead and take a look at the playoff standings coming into today. We know Eric talked about it with you guys a little bit earlier, but looking at that cut line and how many points there are to make up. So many guys from Matt Stallneck down to Leighton Speedway. I mean, you think third down to 8th is separated by just 3 points in our playoff grid. Everybody beneath Kenneth, they have a lot of ground to try to make up tonight.
It's definitely true, but if you look at the drivers above the cut line, and those are in attendance under the cut line, Garrett Smithley, David Schildhouse, Nick Olsen, it shows you that nobody is really safe in these playoffs. It looked like ARCA at Daytona last week was the great equalizer and just shuffling the entire order around. It was the same deal with Richmond 2 weeks ago, and tonight is probably going to be the same. So you're right, though. There is a lot of work that guys like Smithley, Schildhouse, and Olsen are going to have to do. Colin Fern not in attendance tonight, so it looks like his chances for a championship in M&R for season 6 are exactly dashed by the time we finish this race from the Glen. But there is a lot of work, at least in some cases, but I really don't think there is a clear-cut margin of deficit, at least in terms of a large one. Everyone is almost on the same page, if not right there with each other. And so that means that if you're any one of these guys, unlike Presley Sorr and Chase Caber, you got to be on your game. Be sure you execute.
Well, and I think it goes beyond being on your game. If you look at those bottom two, Jacob, David Schildhouse, Nick Olsen, 30 points or more beneath the cut line. I mean, you're pretty much looking at a must-win scenario if you're one of those two drivers. And especially at a road course, the opportunity for that to happen, if you don't have the pace, is just so slim.
Yeah, you absolutely need to win if you're Nick Olsen or you're David Schildhouse. And, you know, going solely off of practice speeds, you look up at the board, and Schildhouse is a little bit quicker than Nick Olsen, but neither of them are really in contention compared to the fastest laps so far through practice. So they're going to need a lot of help, I think, in order to have a shot to get in. Garrett Smithley, I think, in the best case right now, and Colin Fern would have had a good shot if he were here, but he's not. So it's looking like Colin Fern, you're right, is not going to have a shot to move on to the round of 8. Somebody who was part of the championship 4 a season ago. That's a big, big competitor to be losing tonight, looking ahead to the round of 8 and to the championship 4 in a couple of weeks.
Somebody that has been a part of the championship for each of the last 2 seasons in Colin Fern. He will not be able to get back on the stage and see if he can defend his title in season 6. But when we look out at this racetrack, there's a lot of different versions of Watkins Glen International, Kenneth, that is available on iRacing. This is the version we were using tonight. I know Jacob talked about running the boot. We're also running the bus stop, but take us through here a lap at WGI.
This is a beautiful racetrack in Watkins Glen International, and just like Jacob said a little earlier on, this track had a recent rejuvenation from the iRacing service. Used to have a very old scan, but now we've got the most recent scan from a couple of years back. It's 3.450 miles, a little longer than what we had the last time we were at this track with the Pro 2 trucks. Of course, adding in that booth, we go for 5.55 kilometers around this track. A very interesting turn 1 entrance where there's some slight banking, you're hard on the brakes, then you go fast through the S's. It's a very quick sector of the course. Then you kind of slow things down, get a little more technical with this second half. By the time you enter the bus stop, you get out of that carousel, and then you enter a very slow part, and that is the booth. Somewhat hairpin corners, they're very slow, hard braking zones, opportunities to pass, but it is going to be a different challenge for the drivers tonight. And then you have obviously merged back onto the part of the track where we had last time we were here. You get back out of the corner, you're on the front straightaway for the start-finish line. This track opened all the way back in 1956, but it has provided amazing racing, whatever car you put on it. 11 turns on tap, 40 miles per hour in the pit road speed limit, and this is, of course, another road course added on to the season, which means, Blake, probably more uncertainty based on what we saw at Canadian Tire not too long ago.
Definitely so. It is going to be a big challenge for these drivers to drive around this road course for 80 minutes tonight. Going to be tough. But we'll see if these drivers can handle it. We know they are some of the best in the business. Of course, we can't go any further without mentioning our Grid Rival featured matchups that you can, again, watch. We know that all season long, Jacob, we've been looking at these matchups head-to-head and looking at all the odds and stuff. But we've had a little bit of fun with it, haven't we?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And looking at what we've got on tap, the one at the bottom, I think, is really the most interesting, Schildhouse and Cabot, just because Cabot's at the top of the playoffs, pretty much locked in as long as he has a decent finish. Schildhouse, on the other hand, in real big trouble. Sora, of course, we saw him win last week at Daytona. James Bickford, always strong at the road courses. He's somebody that could be an upset as far as a driver winning outside the playoff picture. A couple of playoff guys in there, in Joey Padgett as well, up against George Balfans Jr., who was in the playoffs last year. And Will Rogers, Preston Pardus, that's the road ringer matchup right there between Rogers and Pardes. Both of them very, very strong when it comes to turning left and right here in M&R.
That they have been. They have been awfully competitive. And, of course, we are proud to partner with Grid Rival, the most in-depth fantasy motorsports manager game on the planet. Grid Rival is full of engaging features that bring a new level of engagement to your favorite racing series. Grid Rival is proud to support Monday Night Racing, and you can, of course, check out Grid Rival in the App Store or on Google Play with an Android phone. If you want some more real-life racing matchups to be able to spice things up. I mean, heck, NASCAR is right around the corner. I know we have a lot of motorsports that are about to kick off. Heck, we have the 24 Hours of Daytona coming up here just around the corner. Going to be very fun. And, of course, you can join in on all the fun with our friends over at Grid Rival. When we come back, we are set to go green here in the Roasted Gems Coffee Challenge at Watkins Glen International.
Visit our website at tufcoflooring.com.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street, everywhere. Interstate batteries, outrageously dependable.
Back with you here at Watkins Glen International, and qualifying is underway, and in just a couple of minutes we will be ready to reveal the BST Shocks starting grid to you. But before we do that, this is where we reveal who's going to let me down and who everybody else is going to try to pick tonight. It is not it's not been so great these last couple of weeks, but here we go. Kenneth, I'll give you first dibs. Oh man, DJ Cummings, interesting choice tonight.
I know, out of left field, but for a reason. DJ Cummings is a driver that has finished in the top 10 for all but one of the Porsche 911 RSR races run in M&R history. So he's got a lot of experience and a lot of skill behind the wheel of this car, despite a lot of people maybe thinking about the road course ringers and those drivers that always dominate those races. He has an average finish of 6, by the way, Blake, in every race run in this Porsche 911 RSR. So safe to say DJ Cummings is a driver of consistency with this car on the road courses. And by the way, comes off of a second place finish last week at the Daytona International Speedway. So I'm going to hop on the 8 o'clock momentum train. I'm going to go with Cummings to take the win this evening.
All right, so DJ Cummings, driver number 10 for Kenneth. Jacob, Sage Karam, I don't think after CTMP this is much of a surprise.
If it ain't broke, Don't fix it. I've done enough screwing around with my picks these last couple of weeks, and put together some stinker picks for these last couple of weeks. So I got to get back to basics. Put away this fantasy series championship. I'm going with Sage Karam tonight, guys.
And Eric, you're going with our pre-race guest, Adam Cabot.
Yeah, I made this prediction before I interviewed Adam, and he told me basically, hey, I'm going to take it easy tonight. I didn't do a whole lot of prep. So one thing I know for sure is that Adam Cabot will be cool, calm, and collected. He's not going to make any mistakes. So maybe, hopefully, there's a lot of corners, a lot of room for error at Watkins Glen. Maybe some of the favorites do misstep, and Adam Cabot will be there right around the top 10, ready to take advantage.
Well, after what we saw at CTMP, I think that's what you need, somebody that's just going to go out there and not take too many risks. Of course, Cabot in a very good points position coming in, so all he has to do is just dot his I's and cross his T's, and he should be out of here and on to the round of 8 of the playoffs. And, of course, I just went with the guy who was at the top of the charts in practice. That was Corey Heim. We'll see where it all shakes out once qualifying has wrapped up, which is about to do so here in about 15 seconds or so. Will officially conclude all of the time that is available for these drivers to qualify. And of course, we want to note to you that we will be starting on the grid tonight. There will not be a pace lap. It will be a standing start tonight. So we will get things rolling relatively quickly here at Watkins Glen International. As you see, the yellow is out, and we will start gridding. This is your BST Shock starting grid tonight for the final race of the round of 12 in the M&R playoffs in Season 6, and it is going to be 2 of our picks. Sage Karam gets the quick time tonight. He will start in the first position, and the winner of your Roasted Jim's Coffee Pole Award, and alongside him will go Corey Heim from second in car 51. Rolling off from third, the 02 of Connor Berry will start next to another accomplished road course driver here in Monday Night Racing. That is Will Rogers. Starting in 5th tonight, nothing to worry about for driver number 39. That is Chase Cabry. Ronnie Osmer will start in the 6th position tonight. Rolling off 7th is James Bickford, followed by Reed Wilson in the 8th spot. And how about Anthony Alfredo finally figuring out some of those internet gremlins? He starts 9th, and Joey Padgett will round out your top 10.
The 78 of Garrett Smithley rolls from behind the cut line in the playoffs. He starts from P11 this evening. Adam Cabot, Eric Estep's pick, will be outside in P number 12. David Schildhouse also needing to get over the hump in that cut line. He rolls off from 13. Presley Sorrell locked into the next round after that win at Daytona 1 week ago. He is over in P14. Nick Olson and Lane Sabile, the 24 and the 25 of the 2 drivers, to double up in row number 8 before you find Ryan Vargas with a brand new sponsor. Congratulations, FFO, for the 26th this evening from 17th. Gary Sexton will roll alongside him in P18. Bailey Turner out of the 5 machine. He'll be in P19. Brandon Brown will be the last driver Jacob hits to round out the top 20.
Robbie Lyons, former champ, will roll off from P21. Stephen Ellis will line up to his outside in that 46. League owners, Ford Martin, Matt Stallneck making up row number 12 back here, and Stallneck looking pretty good as far as playoffs are concerned. Just needs another solid finish tonight to cap it all off for the round of 8. Justin Malillo, Mark Rabilis back in row 13. Case Kallenbach, Chris Weaver make up row number 14. Max Kennan, who was in the playoffs last year, and Michael Massey, part of our post-race show, will round out the top 30, Blake.
Alex LeBay will start 31st. Again, first of all drivers that did not put down a qualifying time. DJ Cummings goes 32nd. Joshua Slate will start in 33rd, followed by George Belafans Jr. in 34th. Michael Fisher starts 35th. 36th is Brett Baldeck. And your final 2, row number 19, Devin Henry and Steve Affont. So relatively full field, guys, this late in the year at a road course. Good to see the participation is still plentiful for this playoff race. You can see the weather right here. And one thing I've kind of noted here, Kenneth, all throughout practice, it's been particularly cloudy. There's been a lot of cloud cover here on this racetrack. Cooling it down, going to provide some extra grip for these drivers.
And as well, we're going green around 4 p.m. in sim time. So with this cloud cover, this overcast condition here from Watkins Glen, it is going to help on the grip side. But of course, you are not necessarily away from all the mistakes, away from all the trouble. You look at the race analysis on the bottom right of your screen. 80 minutes for this race. Halfway caution at 35 minutes, which is going to help on strategy case, 50% on the fuel, 4 sets on pit road. And that shows me, Blake, one thing and one thing only. This race is going to depend on strategy. The yellows are only going to fall one time in the middle of this race, and that's about it.
It's going to depend on strategy. It's going to depend on just outright pace. I think that'll be what most likely decides this race. I know that sounds pretty rudimentary, but we'll see who is up for it. And if these drivers can get out of turn 1, I mean, this is going to be probably the biggest moment of this race, is once this grid countdown is finalized and you can see just a couple seconds left before we get things going. The final race of the round of 12 is set to go in just a couple of moments. Clock is down, and within just a couple seconds, Barney, the flagman, will put us under the green flag, and there it is. We are off and running here at Watkins Glen. Oh, and a big move here off the start. A couple of drivers did not get a great launch into turn number 1. Corey Hyman's able to go on by as they're stacking up 3 and 4 wide further back in the field.
As they go up to the S's for the first time, lap 1, you saw Connor Berry in that black number 02 went for 3 wide, especially when they went for turn 1. He's able to take over third. The whole field single files out, and Blake over the first lap. The one thing you do not want to do is...
We've got a crash. We've got a crash in the S's. Couple of cars have crashed. One stopped against the inside wall. It's Max Kennan in turn 4. One car got turned right away. It was Ryan Vargas, one of your playoff drivers, who got the initial contact. Playoff drivers made contact, and everybody crashed trying to avoid. Kennan got involved as well. Chris Weaver back here in the 8. Couple of cars involved, but a lot of damage for Ryan Vargas, making contact with the 83 of Joey Paget.
Yeah, we talked about mistakes and how important that was going to be and how well your night went. We're going to see this heading right up into the S's. And you see, I got a little bit of contact there in the left rear, and that's enough to pretty much ruin the car, Kenneth. I mean, when you talk about the damage in these things, Vargas is going to continue running. It's going to slow him down, but I think the suspension is a particular problem on that car. You can see a lot of damage, especially in the rear end of that car with those hard impacts, and I think just driving the car is going to be a significant challenge for Vargas, let alone trying to finish well with it.
Yeah, it is, and when you talk about the lack of a faster pair, it only makes this situation worse for the driver of the 26 you look on board, and so far it doesn't seem to be too detrimental, but like you said, a lot of damage to the rear end of that car, most notably the wing. That is really going to affect the aerodynamic downforce components on this Porsche 911 RSR. And as well, this car is not as hefty as some others that we've run in the sim and in M&R prior. You think about last time we were at Watkins Glen, a Pro 2 truck that is relatively hefty, relatively strong, a next-gen car last time we were on a road course that could take a beating before it finally picks up a lot of damage for it to really affect you negatively. So for Vargas, a playoff driver, that's going to hurt. And you watch Sage Karam go over the crest.
Oh, we have a spinner. It's Will Rogers. Rogers is around. Somehow, nobody else piles into him, and Rogers will keep rolling. That was at the exit of the bus stop. As you can see, Karam kind of missed it to the right, and Will Rogers was a little bit too far to the left. And Jacob, we kind of talked about this pre-race, how difficult it was going to be for these drivers to navigate through the bus stop because you can use the curbing so much more on this newer scan, but you don't want to use that much or get into the grass like Will Rogers just did. And, oh, that's Connor Berry that came plowing in and got a little bit of damage out of that.
Yeah, Connor Berry did get a piece, and it looked like, as you see a car off, I think that was Max Kennan that was parked there. I know he's been having a heck of a start. I think he's gone off a couple different times. But if you watch there with Will Rogers, how that thing gets turned around, he gets the left side tires, the driver's side tires, in the grass. And it looks like that's really what kind of kicks that car sideways. And from there, he just can't hold on. And he's somebody that is really, really strong on the road courses. And he's having a rough go of it to start. Was running in second when that happened, and now he's stuck back here in the weeds.
Yeah, he was kind of holding up a pack right there, and you have to wonder, I think he may be coming in for service here, and yes, he is. On lap number 2, Will Rogers, that's all he makes. We know how strong he is, how quick he is. He is down in the pit lane, and so is Connor Berry, who towed back to the pits. So a couple of early issues for several of these drivers, Eric.
Absolutely. The chat is definitely surprised by how clean they were through turn 1 on lap 1. Looked like just 3 and 4 wide throughout the entire pack, but didn't take long for playoff contender Ryan Vargas to get some early damage. That's going to be an interesting story to watch. We also had a great question. I wanted to pose this to you guys. I know we have an in-race reporter who maybe we can throw this to later, but Dylan Blackwood asked which drivers tonight are going barefoot, socks, or shoes. I don't know if you guys have any preference.
That seems to be kind of an open-ended question when you think about sim racing. I know a ton of people who go socks. I mean, pretty much nobody goes with shoes. I think with sim racing, as far as that's concerned, you just don't have the same feel in the pedals. You're not going to wear shoes or racing shoes or anything like that. But I tend to not really care. I can do either or. I usually wear socks, but I don't know. I guess it's different for everybody. I don't know, Kenneth. What's your thoughts on that?
I have to go with socks. I feel like it's way too uncomfortable with shoes. I don't really feel the pedals as well. Barefoot, I just feel, it just feels naked. It doesn't feel right to me. The socks, I think, are the OG choice. And I think that's probably sort of a deal breaker sim racer question, whether you use a footwear apparel or if you don't use any at all when you're sim racing at your rig at home. I do want to confirm though, Eric, for our in-race reporter tonight, in terms of the 17 of Adam Cabot, he does wear socks. I remember back in season 4, that championship race in person at the Charlotte or the Carolina Esports Hub, he had the socks on. I can confirm.
I think for the Coke Series Championship in Charlotte, we had, I think, two of the drivers on stage were barefoot, and two of them wore socks. Yeah. But I'm somebody, I don't even like to wear gloves when I sim race. Of course, I have a wheel that's old enough that it doesn't matter if I'm wearing gloves or not, but I don't even like to wear gloves if I don't have to. And I know a ton of people, probably most, I would say, in this field are sporting gloves while they're driving tonight.
I want to know what Jacob has to say about this. He's been a little quiet. I want to see, Jacob, do you think socks, no socks, full boots, full shoes? I don't know. What's the preference?
Well, I don't really sim race enough to have a preference. I call more stuff than actually drive anyway, but I would go socks. My only issue is my pedals don't have this problem because they've got rubber on them, but I would think with socks you're going to slide. If you got a real plastic, crappy piece of pedals, you know, you're gonna slide off the brake, you're gonna slide off the gas. That would be an issue for me, but like I said, I don't sim race enough anyway, so my opinion doesn't necessarily matter in that conversation.
Change up front for the race lead. Corey Heim is going to give it to Sage Karam. Not even really a battle put up there. He stopped on the straightaway, let him by, and will roll on in second. Now your top two have separated themselves by about 5 seconds or so back to that 39 of Chase Cabry. But interesting strategy right here for Corey Heim, who I think has the pace. We know he does, but didn't really put up a fight there and just gave Sage Karam the race lead.
It's a smart strategy, though, if you really think about it, because going into this race, Corey Heim is tied with Leighton Seville as the last driver in to the round of 8, should the checkered flag wave, if everybody stays where they are right now from Watkins Glen. So it's a smart move by Heim. Karam is a very veteran road course racer, is very seasoned at this stuff. He won the last time we were at a road course, so just letting him by as a driver that's not affecting the playoff competition, just let him through, let him run the race. Don't fight him too hard for the position, because the last thing you want to do if you're Corey Heim is overextend yourself in the race car, make a mistake, and then all of a sudden you're not just dropping that race lead to Sage Karam, you're dropping second to Chase Cabry, you're dropping third to Ronnie Osmer, you're dropping all the way down the line, and then you start to go further down the list in terms of points. So if you're the 51 of Corey Heim, you just need to keep yourself steady, keep yourself calm, and it's a smart move there, letting Karam through.
Look how much that incident for Ryan Vargas affected his playoff hopes. It's an 80-minute race. We're not even 10 minutes in, Jacob. And Ryan Vargas, who seemed to be relatively safe coming in, that's the after effect of it. 5 points out as it stands right now. He would not move on to the round of 8 should this stand.
Well, and Garrett Smithley's running P10 too, so not only does he have to worry about picking spots up, but he also has to worry about passing that gray car there, that 78 machine of Garrett Smithley, because you know, Smithley's only going to keep gaining spots. That last time by, a little bit off to Nick Olson, who's in front of him. Olson needs a lot of help. He's 21 points back in P9 on the racetrack. Same with Schulthouse. Those are really the two guys that have to win, remember, in order to move on, unless the guys that are up in the top of the standings have some issues tonight. Yeah, we've had the issues with Vargas, but there's a long way to go. We already have 2 cars out of the race. Max Kennan, Connor Berry both have parked their vehicles. Steve Affont has now towed. He has crashed. With Chris Weaver crashed a couple laps ago as well in the boot. Same issue for Steve Affont, lost it all by himself, nosed it into the wall, and now Michael Massey goes for a slide. That's in the boot as well, but he gets it rolling. No, he tows it. So some issues toward the back of the field, but for the playoff drivers, other than the issue with Vargas, it's been clean and green.
You know, I got to say, David Schildhaus is pretty impressive right now. Running in the 5th position. It isn't quite up running with your leaders, but, you know, he was somebody that, you know, if I'm being honest, I just didn't really expect him to be much of a factor tonight. We know he's great on the ovals. The road courses are not necessarily his strong suit. And again, you could see with Colin Fern not in attendance, with Ryan Vargas having his struggles, he is still well behind the cut line, so he has to be thinking must win. But if he's in 5th, and again, if he maintains this until we have that halfway caution, Kenneth, I'd say that he has a chance. He'll at least have a shot at it.
That's all you really need if you're in this type of situation, Blake. You just need to set yourself up for that last stint of the race, especially this one, because we know there's not going to be cautions on the racetrack to stop the run of play, or at least the run of racing out on the track. As you watch Ronnie Osmer here try to attack Chase Cabry for 3rd. Ronnie Osmer has been picking the pace up last couple of laps. But if you're Schildhaus, this is all you need. A very clean run. You run up front, you run very consistently. You learn with this car, you learn with the competition around you, and then comes that setup for that last stint. Here's a look at Osmer going to the outside of Cabry. Cabry's going to let him by, and Schildhaus, Blake, has the front row seat in all of this.
He does. I remember I picked Ronnie Osmer back at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Did not have such a great afternoon there, but looks to be running much better tonight. Right now sitting in that 3rd position. The battle for 3rd, or at least you could say the battle I guess for 3rd best, because Sage Karam and Corey Heim are just completely out of the picture right now. Nearly 8 seconds now ahead of this battle for the 3rd position. You can see Reed Wilson been awfully strong on the road courses so far. Lost a couple of spots since we dropped the green flag. And actually, scratch that, he's moved up 1 spot, so did a nice job of maintaining here in that number 66 car. Oh, somebody just went a little wide right there, just ahead of this battle. That was Schildhaus.
He's going to lose a spot to Bickford coming out of turn 9. So you talked about it, where, you know, not known for his road course racing. And here he is fighting for his playoff life here in M&R Season 6 at perhaps maybe the worst racetrack for him. And I know he didn't want to be in a scenario here where he would have to win at Watkins Glen in order to advance, but there's still a long way to go in this race. We still have to get to the cautions yet, and with that restart, bunching everybody back up, if Schildhaus has a shot, you may see him turn the aggression on a little bit as he passes Bickford back coming up through the S's, and will retake the 5th spot, and that should open up the door for Reed Wilson on the outside as well.
Here he tries to move around the outside. You have to think that, you know, this isn't necessarily a combination, Eric. When we talk about road course ringers and everything, most of these guys, they pretty much stick to the ovals. You have a couple of specialists here in this field, but of course this is an industry or NASCAR industry related series. You're not going to see too many drivers that often run on the road course, but you had the most popular event on iRacing this past weekend, the 24 hours of Daytona that was taking place, and the amount of drivers that take part in that. 16,651 drivers declared to run. Many of those in this field were a part of that. So when you talk about road course experience and kind of just being fresh and being able to go out there and put some laps together, I'm sure some of these drivers may have been a little bit prepared. I know Daytona isn't Watkins Glen by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm sure any laps, and particularly 3 or 4 hour stints, was probably a good thing for most of these drivers.
Yeah, I mean, repetitions are repetitions, you know. It doesn't really seem to matter. I know we were joking with Adam Cabot beforehand. You know, he made a bunch of laps at Daytona, like you said earlier this week. But wasn't really sure what he had here tonight. Well, he just moved into the top 10, so definitely seems to have a decent race car early on, but again, just playing it safe considering all the points. But I love this. I love that we have a road course as a cutoff race, especially early in the playoffs. I think it's in a way it's a great equalizer because as you mentioned, many in this field are not road course specialists by any stretch of the imagination. So right now you're really seeing some great battles, at least from third on back. I guess I should say first and second kind of broken into their own zip code. But I think this is a great cutoff race, something different, something to kind of get everybody out of their comfort zone.
You saw a little bit there in the back of your picture that Anthony Alfredo kind of ran wide there in turn one. He kept it together, though, but loses a little bit of ground in that battle for eighth. That currently Nick Olson, another driver who is in a must-win situation coming into tonight, needs to try to advance into the round of 8. But this is the Roasted Gems Coffee Challenge, and at Roasted Gems Coffee, premium coffee is sold online in store that you will find bold, rich, and unique coffee beans with it. Roasted per order, delivered fresh straight to your door in your mug at peak flavor. Enough of old coffee beans. Enjoy your precious coffee gems fresh. Visit roastedgems.com today. Get your premium made-to-order coffee. It is good. I've had it myself, and I'm not just saying that because they sponsored my limited late model either. But back here at Watkins Glen International, it's been a two-horse pony show at the dog races here. Sage Karam and Corey Heim well in front of the rest of the field, and even Karam, for that matter, has pulled away over 3 seconds over that battle for the race lead over Corey Heim. Ronnie Osmer holding steady right now in third, with Chase Cabry just behind him in fourth. Reed Wilson, James Bickford, and David Schildhouse kind of within their own three-way battle right now to stay into the top 5. Olson on his own for 8th. Anthony Alfredo just back up the road, and there's a long line of cars behind him running in 9th. And, of course, Adam Cabot right now. We mentioned he just had to get the job done and keep all 4 tires on the racetrack. He's doing so right now in the 10th position.
He had a little scuffle there where Presley saw a couple of laps back, but Cabot was able to swivel his way by, and so Cabot just looking to maintain his consistent run. Here's a look at one of our cameras in our race. That is the 13 of Gary Sexton, a little further back through the field. But one thing I've also noticed in this race, at least in the opening 10, Blake, is that we've seen some separation, but we haven't seen as much as maybe we expected. I anticipated a lot of drivers in the top 5, top 10 to be all over the place, all over the track, and not really within range to fight each other. But you're looking at separation between small groups of cars, and then you have 2-car groups, 3-car groups, 4-car groups, maybe 5 in some cases, like you're seeing here with Joey Padgett. 4 or 5 cars in this group, all of them running the same laps, running consistently well.